let's discuss what causes a hidden or secret resentment in your relationship. This is something that came up in a session with my client recently, and I really wanted to go deeper and address those blockages that come from our conditioning about what our relationship should be, right? The whole idea of traditional marriage, how you're supposed to feel, how you should show up, what he should do, all the shoulds that really block, right? And lock this potential and lock your, inner freedom and your, personality, who you are many times. And that can build up this resentment. At some point you start to feel like you're suffocating in a relationship, or something is off, or like, everything is more and less, logically everything is okay, but you don't feel quite happy or abundant, or you don't feel excited, like you don't feel passionate anymore. And that is a problem of many long-term relationships, right? If you're in a marriage or partnership or like long-lasting relationships. The biggest core issue here is that we as human culture, right, embracing all cultures on this planet, tend to treat other people, especially like our partners who spend so much time with us, right? If it's a lifelong marriage, let's say, a very long relationship, long-lasting relationship, we tend to treat our partners not based on who they are originally, what kind of personality, what kind of soul, right? What are their gifts, right? Who they are, what are their weaknesses, the way they are wired into this reality. And we can be attracted to, a certain part of that personality, a certain part of that soul, and then we can have certain differences that we are not so attracted and we don't get along in that particular area, on that particular energetics, right? So what we tend to do, we tend to prioritize the role of the partner, the role of the husband, the requirements that come with that role, right? And try to kind of like place that on top of the real person, and like expect that this is the requirement for this person to, if they want to be your husband, right? And it doesn't cancel certain, red flags, or like certain boundaries, certain, important things that are very important for you. At the same time, a real person, a real soul, a real personality will never be able to meet all the criteria that you can create. That's why I don't believe in those lists. Some people really overanalyze, overdo when they want to meet somebody. They create a list with like 50 requirements of what they want to see in the partner. From one perspective, yes, we want to visualize and have clarity, right? At the same time, if we make it too long, too boring, too specific, too analytical, that will never become reality, because the reality is always different from what we expect or what we can create on the level of idea, right? So that is a very big problem, because what we inherit from our culture is like what relationship should be. This is what marriage should be. This is what husband should do. This is what wife should do. And many times it's within our blind spots, and we just react to something without going deep and asking why there is a conflict. Does it come from our conditioning, heritage, of what we believe it should be? Or does it come from our personal dissatisfaction that our needs are not met? Or does it come from the place of realness that we are not compatible, and there are red flags that are not compatible with how we want to live our life and how we want to relate? So this is something so deep and so important, and we can go into specifics, right? The best way is to actually look at different examples. That's why these questions, these topics are being born out of my real sessions with people. So this is the core problem. So how can we shift that, right? We can bring it kind of like everything is upside down. We can bring it back to where it belongs and energetically. What do I mean by that? For example, of course, you need to have an idea what kind of person you want to meet, like more and less. What are you attracted? What do you want to experience with that person? So this person is capable to share these experiences with you and having that deep connection and intimacy. However, when you meet somebody in real life, you have to always course correct the container of your relationship, right? It cannot be universal. It cannot be what your mother did or your grandmother did or what other people do in a marriage and how we, in general, understand marriage as this fairy tale, right? We can't use very general phrases like I want to be happy or I want him to be supportive and loving. Well, of course, who doesn't, right? When we meet a real person, we have certain energetic response to them. Something is pulling us together. We're mesmerized, we're fascinated, we're in love, we're drawn, and then it takes some time to really become aware of like, okay, I want to be with this person, right? And then you get married or decide to live together, etc. However, while you're living together, while you're spending years together, at some point you will realize, well, there is something really great about this person, but then energetically you're constantly receiving that great thing, right? Let's say he's a great lover and sexually you're really satisfied, but maybe he's not, maybe he's not very outgoing person, not very social person, and not maybe as ambitious in business, right? And he will never inspire you to do something in that area, or he would not be able to have great conversation, engaging conversation about those things with you, or something else that you enjoy and then he doesn't relate. So when something is given to you constantly in abundant quality, right? You start to get used to that part and start to feel really satisfied with that part. However, there is a need inside of you for something else, right? Let's say like inspirational conversation about business building, right? Or living your soul purpose and like doing something in the world that maybe he doesn't relate. And then you don't receive that part. And you start to build resentment, right? Because you feel like your needs are not met. Like you still need that as well. And if you just project that need, which can be very intimate also, collaboration, exchange as well, inspirational, right? Or maybe it's like support, like, oh, he doesn't support me with my vision or like what I want to do, right? You can start feeling resentful inside of yourself if you don't find an outlet, a different channel for that exchange with somebody else, right? Whether it's a woman, a man, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it matters, actually. We can go deeper with this topic. But if you don't give it to yourself, if you only expect this, oh, this is my partner has to support me with this as well, and he doesn't, and you don't give it to yourself in other complementary relationship, you can start feeling resentful, right? It's like, I like to use metaphors like, okay, let's say like you like let's look at basic stuff. Like you need water and you need food, like bread. You like bread and you like water, right? It's something essential, right? Fundamental. Like, so let's say you're thirsty and he gives you lots of bread, right? Yeah, you like bread and you eat bread, and at some point you're full with bread, and then you feel thirsty, and all he has is bread, and he gives you more bread. At this point, you're not capable to receive any more bread, and you just need water. So this is the indication that if he doesn't have water for you, then go and get water somewhere else. This is the time when, remember, connect, disconnect in a relationship. Disconnect from your partner for a short while, and go and fulfill yourself, refill yourself with water from your complementary network of relationship. This is essential, right? And I notice how rigid we are about creating more like a life and breathing network of complementary relationship, where it can be our female friends, our male friends, our business partners, our creative project partners, maybe family members. And how can you make this relationship creative, and how can you really create containers for all these relationships so you can have that sacred exchange, so you don't pressure one person with something that they're not capable to give to you, right? So this is so fundamental, and it's deeper than just say, yes, our partner can't meet all of our needs. Like, we have to understand that we have to design our relationship containers based on who we are and who our partners are, right? Not based on how we should do relationship, or based on roles, prescribed roles. This is what you're supposed to do. It's not external quality. It's like looking at the person and their soul and their personality, their potential and gifts, and your dynamics in your relationship, and designing the container for that. Very customized, very unique. Rather than like trying to squeeze yourself, your partner, your relationship in the pre-designed template. Like, oh, that's how other people do. Oh, that's what we're supposed to do. No, you can be completely creative with that. And that's actually what brings you vitality and longevity and, passion in your relationship. And that will never die if you're a good match with each other. This is what I see so much in marriage. And as an example, like, I work with a private client, and she brought up that she has this business, and there was this male client and that she worked with, and she really admires some qualities that this male client has, and she was so excited to work with that man, and she was like checking in with me if it's okay to feel this excitement about working with this particular male client and feel certain level of chemistry, right? And it was not so much like sexual chemistry, but it was more like that this person was bringing energetically in her field something that her partner didn't have. And it was not number one important thing, right? It was not about being a great lover, but it's a piece that was missing in her relationship, and she was thirsty for that, right? She was giving her that water that was not giving, that she didn't receive in her relationship. So, and that is totally okay to integrate that and create containers for creative collaboration. That can be male partner, business partner, it can be a friend. It doesn't need to be always a male, it can be female. However, sometimes it's essential that it's a man, right? Like when it comes to the archetypal role of provide and protect, it's actually important that a masculine quality, like what kind of masculine quality is missing. And you can totally have complementary relationship on the level of friendship and business collaboration or creative projects that somebody else can share with you, right? And of course, under certain agreements, in a safe container with transparency that you desire in your relationship, and the agreements that you can have with your partner. So that is so important. And this is how we can avoid building up that resentment, energetic resentment. It's not sometimes even logical. It just feels like, I can't eat bread, give me a break. I need to go and drink some water. So that is so important, right? Because sometimes even good relationships are being ruined by not understanding this art of creating relationship containers and creating the whole network of creative relationships that can bring you fulfillment and joy, and create more creativity and passion and inspiration.